Hey YouTubers out there, this is WordTech. I want to provide just a really quick update on some of the materials that I've talked about recently. Okay, so this is a piece of that chert material that I got in Utah on Highway 6 near Provo, and it's awful. I heat treated it about 550 Fahrenheit, and it didn't help at all, but it was really kind of poor quality material to begin with. You can see that it conchoidally fractures, but it's bad stuff, and you can tell just by the way it sounds when you tap it. I don't know if I can, well, the problem is it doesn't ring, it thuds, and so there's a lot of flaws in it, and it's somewhat banded. So this material, it's off the list as far as good material. There may be a band somewhere in that formation along Highway 6 that might be useful, but I would say it's a failure at this point. Now, the other material that I got was on Highway I-70 in Kansas. I said it was around mile marker 315. This material here, I also heat treated it, and it seems to work a little bit better, but it still looks a little dry. And you know, when you heat treat it and the flakes come off shiny, you know that you're on the mark. You can always go too far, but in this case I haven't. So it still looks a little grainy. But I kind of think that, you know, for some of this, maybe a little higher, maybe something closer to 600 may be appropriate. So I'm going to try it. But I picked some smaller pieces that I you know, would not be too sad about destroying, and so I've got this one. This one has a few fractures in it. Now, having said all that, there are some dark sections that are really shiny. So if the darker it is, the better the heat treat works, at least at 550 Fahrenheit. So this is it. The heat treat did work to some extent. I'm going to experiment a little bit more. The lighter colored stuff is still doesn't quite have that sheen that I expect, but it works. It works for percussion, and I could certainly continue along the lines with this and percussion out hopefully a reasonable piece. This is a little fractured, that's why I experimented on this first instead of the bigger pieces that are a little bit more contiguous with fewer flaws. Okay, so the last part is the this ferrite arrowhead that I talked about in an earlier video. I said that it was radar invisible. Well, I tested it, and it actually is. I went down to have an oil change done at the Toyota dealership, and I asked the salesman if I could play with their radar safety system, and we stuck this in front of the radar system, a regular arrowhead and a finger, and the regular arrowhead gave back a reading, finger gave back a reading. This did not give back a reading. There was invisible to the micron level radar systems that they have. Now, people say that it's sonar. It isn't. It's radar. And even the salesman said, I think it's sonar. It's not. Now, one other interesting fact about this was pointed out by another Flint napper, is that it is actually, of all things, magnetic. And so if you take your magnet here, sure enough, it sticks. Now, the material itself is not magnetic, so this ferrite will not stick to metal, but it will respond to a magnetic field, and voila. So just, you know, very interesting material, somewhat surprising. You know, when I do videos, every once in a while you get a negative response, a dislike, and that's fine. And the only problem I have with YouTube and the, you know, hitting a like or dislike is that you don't really get any feedback. Well, why did you like it, or why did you hate it? You never get to hear about that part of it. So I was just kind of curious. Well, who really hates the video on this? Because I got a dislike on it, and I was like a little curious. Someone in Russia. You know, these videos really weren't meant for, you know, international. You know, they weren't intentionally designed to appeal to an international audience. I do this just because it's fun and interesting, and I hope that other people will find it interesting too. But it's not for entertainment. It's not to prove that I'm better than everybody else. It's really just simple videos just describing some of the interesting materials that I found. Maybe somebody else will find some value in it, maybe not, but I'm always surprised by, you know, the negatives, because it's like, I'm also kind of surprised by the likes click, just because, you know, it's sort of like, I don't even take the time to do that. I like a video, but I don't actually click like, because the input isn't there. I'd rather send a comment and say, hey, that was really cool, or ask a question about it. So, but anyway, and another video I got a negative. It was from Cambodia. So I don't know who I annoyed in Russia or Cambodia. It's not meant to be anything but fun. you know, I did jokingly refer to this as the stealth arrowhead because it's radar invisible, and maybe, you know, the fact that it was a joke and not really a state secret, that someone in Russia hated it, but I think that's just amazing that I am upsetting so many people internationally. So, what the heck? It's a hobby, guys. It's just for fun. It's not meant to be anything else but just goofy fun. No state secrets here. No Snowden releases. This is just me playing around. And the fact that it's an arrowhead and radar invisible makes it absolutely stupid and absurd, and I love that. So anyway, that's about it. Just wanted to give you a little update. Heat treat's working. 550 seems pretty good, but I think I'm going to try 600 for the lighter sections. If it's dark, works fantastic. And I wish I could show a better section here. I'm trying to see. It's right here, and it's hard to see because it's cloudy and all, but it's actually a bit shinier right here in this, you know, very dark section of it. From the roadway, this stuff looks blue, and of course close up it looks gray. But it is working, and I'm quite pleased with it. But you know, when I did this trip, I didn't expect, you know, I'd be looking for rock really, except for in Missouri, and I was driving through Kansas. It's like Flint Hills. Well, gosh, I wonder if there's flint there. So this was just all on the fly, and I've since looked online at some of the geological presentations, and there is a lot of really high quality flint over in Flint Hills, Kansas. So, you know, it's worth checking out, and it's worth trying these things out. You know, if you're in the area. I'm trying to convince a buddy of mine who goes to Nebraska from time to time to do a major diversion and head south and pick some up, but the odds of that are pretty slim. Anyway, that's about it. Hope this was useful. Bye.